Welcome to Thursday's Fireside Chat. It's a nice day out today. And I just realized that today is the National Day of Prayer. What more appropriate time of year to have the National Day of Prayer than right now in the middle of the situation we're in? The shame is that it's only one day. We need to be a people that really learn to pray and have prayer part of our regular routine and part of our normal practice of life because it reflects back on where we see God and how important God is to us. I remember years ago, Pastor Sam, founder of our church, said that, and if I've shared this with you lately, forgive me because I'm talking in a number of different forums right now. But it's still important. Pastor Sam Smith said, and I heard this from the pulpit years ago when he was still here. He said, if you don't begin every day with prayer, what you're really saying is, God, I can handle this today. I don't need you today. And a nation that lives without prayer is basically saying, we think we've got this under control. And hopefully people are beginning to realize we may not have this under control as much as we thought we had. But God does. And that's why we as the church become the hope, because we have a relationship with a God who does have the answers. We have a relationship with a God who is the answer. He is the God of hope. And you and I are here right now so that we can be witnesses of those around us. Maybe it's people that you work with, and maybe you don't go to work because you're either shut down or you're working from home. But you have contact with some people, even if it's through Facebook or through some social media, and we can be a light to them, a hope to them, just because we're not falling apart, because we have a foundation under us, and that foundation is the God who loves us and the God who loved us so much that he gave his son's life for us. I recorded this morning, that's why this is a little bit late. I recorded this morning a television program to broadcast not this Sunday, but the next Sunday. And it's all about fear, dealing with fear, and how the foundation of fear in our life is really the fear of what's going to happen when we die. And Jesus came to deliver us from that fear, as well as from obviously our sin and other things. So that's today is a National Day of Prayer. Would encourage you, if you don't pray regularly, this is a great day to start. But what I wanted to continue talking to you about is learning to develop our faith through the everyday issues of life, that faith is not some one-time event, or maybe I have to learn to exercise faith through a series of events in my life, but it's supposed to be a way of life. We walk by faith. And what it ultimately comes down to is learning to trust God's word more than we trust our senses. Now, of course, driving in your car, cutting up carrots for dinner, you need to go and trust your senses. But when it comes to the real issues of life, like the kinds of issues we're facing now, what's more real is the spirit realm and God's word than what our five senses tell us. Now, here's the problem. Most of us, almost all of us, have been raised in a culture, in an education, and even in churches that are still dominated by our natural thinking and dominated by our senses. And this is why I began talking to you beginning of the week. Proverbs chapter 3, 4, and 5 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not to your own understanding. Because what our unrenewed mind does is try to figure out what's going on. We put trust and confidence in our ability to figure out answers. I'll give you a quick example of that. I found years ago that I have a tendency, when I find out that someone's passed away, my first question is, well, how old were they? Now, why would I ask that question? And I began to ask myself, why am I asking that question? And I realized because somehow, if I found out that they were in their 80s or 90s, well, we're sorry to lose them, but it kind of makes sense because it's the natural progression of things. And so our mind tries to figure out why. Where if somebody dies at a much younger age, like in a tragedy, we want to know why. So people are out there now trying to figure out, why are we going through this? Where is God? I just saw that come up on my computer screen. Where is God in all of this? Because our minds are trying to figure things out. And the Bible's told us not to rely on our understanding. It doesn't mean we can't understand anything. It means what are you relying on? Instead, we're to trust in the Lord. And the way we do that is by trusting in what he says about a situation. And that's something that's developed over time. We talked about yesterday about George Mueller, the great English founder of the English orphanage in Bristol, England. But he did it to show people what you can do by just taking God at his word and believing God and trusting God. And he built this amazing orphanage by simply trusting God. But he didn't do that overnight. He started with little things. And that's what I'm trying to encourage you to do, because Sunday we're going to talk about this in more detail. And I'm trying to help us all get ready for that. So the things in your life, the way to start is, what are the things you're concerned about? What are the things that are worrying you? That's something to begin to look into God's word. Begin to get God's word about that in your heart. If it's healing, begin to saturate yourself with healing scriptures. And you don't have to have a Bible in front of you. Take one or two and just think about them during the day when you don't have to think about other things. So anyway, I'm running out of time. I'm so filled with this subject right now because it's right where we live and where God has our attention about this right now, and he wants us to grow into this. So thank you for being part of this today. We're going to just wrap this up this week tomorrow and get us all ready for Sunday. So we appreciate all of you. So glad that you stopped by today, and it's a great time to be together, and we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. God bless you, and we'll see you then.